Hello and welcome to the Fintech Finance Virtual Arena. I'm your host, Doug Mackenzie, and on today's session, we've got an internal session because we're going to be finding out all about Fintech Finance's journey to the Fintech Week over in London. And joining me today, I have two of my colleagues who actually visited probably one of the first indoor, actual in-person events of the calendar year. So joining me today, I have Malihi-Shoja and also Serena Khemaney from Fintech Finance. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here today. How are you both doing?
Thank you, Doug. It's been great. It's amazing. I'm so excited for this internal session.
It's going to be slightly different.
Yeah, I love it.
Amazing. And how about yourself, Rox?
Yes, me too. It's been very interesting. It's been a very interesting period. And finally glad to meet you guys in person.
Yeah, I mean, in no world would you have ever foreseen something like that where you'd be working with people for, near on a year, I think, with you, Serena, and not actually have met. So I think that's absolutely incredible, and I think it shows how the London Fintech Week has really actually come at a good time. I think people have suddenly gone to the point of exhaustion of doing Zoom meetings like we are today, but obviously, this is to unpack the session. Now, as we mentioned, today we're going to be talking about your guys' experiences at the London Fintech Week. And, to kick things off, I really want to see if I could come to you then first, Rox, and find out, really what you wanted to get out of the conference and really, if anything, surprised you at that time.
Yeah, well, it was actually really insightful hearing about each company's sort of difficulties during the pandemic and how they've overcome these obstacles. And it was really insightful, and I really enjoyed finally meeting people again face to face. I think 90% of the people that we spoke to had the same sort of feeling. It was great to see everyone finally. It was really insightful, especially with how quickly people bounce back with what's happening at the moment. So yeah, very insightful.
Yeah, I think that's really quite interesting to hear that kind of bouncing back. And Serena, I'd like to hear your perspective as well. Did you agree with Rox there that it was very much a kind of return to normal in that regard, people bouncing back?
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with Rox. In fact, I think it was a very productive 2 days. I think a high caliber of speakers, panelists, interviews. I got to meet a few potential clients face to face as well. And the feeling of just meeting face to face, I mean, you can't really compare that. No virtual event can give you that. And more than that, I just missed putting on a shirt and a blazer and looking smart and just sitting in an auditorium. So yeah, just happy to be back and happy to continue being at these events.
Amazing. Now, Serena, obviously, according to the name, it was a full week, but you said that you guys were there for 2 days. What were you doing there over the course of the 2 days? Because you weren't just meeting people. There was something a bit extra in a typical Fintech Finance manner, wasn't there?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we were only there for 2 days. The other 3 days were online. But during the 2 days, what I got to do for the first time was to interview people like, Leda Glyptis, people from FICO, people from, Chloe did Radar Payments, which also was really interesting. Like I said, just a great caliber of speakers, and getting to meet them face to face, and also actually seeing the love that they have for Fintech Finance firsthand. That's something that really took me back. That I was like, wow, I'm working for a really, really loved company, and so many people know us and are keen to work with us. And obviously during the pandemic with our virtual arena series, it's always great when people praise your work. So yeah.
Yeah, it really speaks a lot of volume, doesn't it? Especially over a year where we haven't been able to meet any of these people. Now, Rox, am I correct in saying, obviously Serena brought up the fact she was interviewing people, but it was also on camera with a proper film setup as well. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. Just to echo what Serena said, it was a new experience. I've never done that before. I've thrown myself into the deep end. It was great to just speak to people like we've already discussed. We spoke to Passport, Clear, and again, it was just good to have that human interaction. Again, walking around with the camera crew, it was something I've never done before. Everyone was looking to see what we were doing, coming over. It was very interesting, really fun time, and looking forward to the next event.
Yeah, now with that in mind, it does seem to have suddenly hit event season out of nowhere. And looking forward, what do you think other events that take this hybrid model of half online, half in person, can really take from this example, Rox? When I know obviously it was your first fintech event, but seeing things in a digital and phygital fashion, if I want to use a better word, what do you think other events can learn from the London Fintech Week to do just as well?
Definitely, I think the hybrid role really worked in terms of scheduling meetings as well with the potential clients that we'd see on site. So it was nicely broken down into the middle of the week. So it gave us an opportunity to network as well as, check in with our clients, schedule a time to meet. And if that didn't work for them, virtually as well. We actually heard a couple ladies being at the event doing virtual meetings as well. So, at this given time, it's good, really good for events to sort of think about having that hybrid function.
Yeah, I think that is quite funny because also, so I wasn't able to attend the event physically, but I did a number of interviews at the event digitally. So I've been on the reverse side of this. Now, Serena, I'd also like to get your perspective here. And I am I correct in saying, like, even though it's your first fintech event, you've been in the fintech industry for a number of years. To parlay the same question onto you, what do you think that other events organizations can take from this example, probably one of the first big events in that physical fashion, but then still marry it to that digital experience?
Yeah, absolutely. To just echo what Rox said as well, I think you had a really good amalgamation of the both. It wasn't packed, so no one was overwhelmed or anything with people swarming your booths, which I think is really important. You want people to feel comfortable at the conference. You're in high vibration, you can just do your job a bit better. But I think other events must take this into account and make people feel comfortable, make the guests feel comfortable, and also opportunities for networking, which I loved. I mean, every kind of hour or hour and a half, there'd be a coffee break with networking. People were happy, and I think that's what we've really missed out on, especially during the pandemic. So I think more networking. And also a hybrid of, as you said, physical and digital, because then you get to schedule meetings. I was working on the app a lot and LinkedIn, trying to connect with people, and it's easier. So I guess you've got the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, now with that in mind, sorry, I do apologise. I do have a lot of drilling above me if that is coming across, guys, but hopefully you can still hear me. Now, Serena, if I could stick with you for an extra question. Now, the event itself took place in the city of London, probably still the biggest heart of fintech globally, outside of the San Francisco Bay. And with that in mind, did you see a good mix between some of the traditional institutions, but also, as per its name, the fintechs milling about?
Absolutely. And I think that's another, thank you for reminding me, Doug, actually, that's another really big plus point of the conference we just attended. Was, as I mentioned earlier, the caliber and the diversity of speakers and guests that were in attendance. So I remember speaking to people from HSBC, as well as that, Starling Bank. We had Aeon Digital, a company based out of GCC, Bahrain, I think, and for them to come all the way over here really shows that how kind of insular the fintech ecosystem is, and which is so beautiful, because we're trying to learn things from GCC, they're trying to pick up things from us, and just try and marry those two together. So I hope I answered your question.
No, exactly, and I think it's that combination, and hearing how there have been other parts of the world that have been able to contribute to the London Fintech Week, because that's really what a lot of organisations, from my experience, wanted from events, was that ability to connect with partners in around the world that would have typically have taken a £500 flight to actually go and do. Suddenly you can meet two of them in one, and that's absolutely perfect. And Rox, I'd like to hear your perspective as well, looking at some of the fintechs there. Did you think there was a good enough amount of startups there potentially that were either exciting to you or established enough that actually had a bit of flair to showcase at the event?
Yeah, definitely. There was a number of companies that definitely caught my eye, and it's really interesting to see once the events start kicking off, the bigger ones that do start kicking off, see the rest of the sort of the competition as well. It was good to see again everyone there Yeah, it was great. It was good.
Yeah, were there any particular companies that, I know you did a number of interviews, but that were, when you interviewed them, you were either surprised by or they offered a product that you thought was going to get some serious groundswell in the future going into the 2020s?
Definitely. I think the one that stood out for me the most was probably Passport, which I mentioned, and mClear. Just the products that they're bringing out at the moment is really good in terms of the cloud solutions, and mClear with the Ring. Really, really interesting. Really good to see how companies are innovating and keeping up with the new technologies. AI is changing a lot of the things that, the way the world is sort of going now. So it's interesting how they've both sort of use that element and combine it to create a product and create a solution that brokers and agents can use.
Yeah, I think that's so critical, and I know you've mentioned Passport, and obviously I believe it's Dr. Christine Bailey who speaks a lot at these events from Passport. She's absolutely incredible and absolutely has her ears to the ground when it comes to anything in payments and retail. So it's absolutely incredible, and I think we're going to see that convergence of payments, fintech, and retail coming together, and I'm really excited to hear what those guys have in the future. Now, Serena, I don't know if you had any kind of passing comments about the event or what you hope to see when you attend next year.
Well, I guess bottom line with Fintech Week London, I thought, like I said, a good array of people. It was great to catch up with Fintech Finance favorites like David Brill, Leda Glyptis, but also, kind of get to know potential clients, and like I mentioned with Aon Digital or a CardStream or a Vault that have just secured their Series A. We're always on the lookout for people with companies with fresh messages, fresh perspectives, and because we can learn from everyone really. So, and that's something that I'm looking to bring forth to the next few events. More networking, more interviews, more coverage. And you just get bigger and better in terms of your knowledge of fintech, but also developing your career and just enjoying the whole process as well, which I think is the most important.
So that's absolutely, I think you've really touched on such an important point, because people were attending these events to network. And with that in mind, there is also still that element of being able to sit in and hear some brilliant speakers. Now, I know you guys were very busy with interviewing people on camera for FF, but did you actually get a chance, and Rox, I'll come to you because I've just spoken to Serena, and did you get a chance to sit in on any of the kind of panel discussions or at least any of the speaking slots?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to sit around and watch, but I did have a little look when Chris Skinner was on stage at the beginning, just to introduce sort of the agenda and the week, and welcoming everyone for after so long. So it was great to see him in person. I've heard a lot about him. So yeah, that was he was someone I had a little look at when he was on stage.
A little bit of fintech royalty, really. That's absolutely excellent to hear. Guys, it's been absolutely fascinating. I'm very envious that you got to get out of the house and actually meet other people. I think that's very exciting. But I'm going to wrap up there, but it's been absolutely brilliant having you guys on the show. It's been brilliant having someone else from Fintech Finance in the arena. It's been very different. So both of you, thank you so much for your time. And looking forward to meeting you in person for Tough Mudder this weekend. So guys, thank you so much.
For sure. Thanks for having us, Doug. It's always
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.